Hey, what's up? So Tom just complimented me on my jacket, and this is now known
Hold
as...
on, real quick. Can you guys switch, if you don't mind? Just so you're, yeah, switch seats. You don't have to. You can keep
There's
the
something
mic.
secret about the center seat.
Yeah, it's there you go.
I was going to say, Tom complimented me on my jacket, and I'm now referring to this as my Michael Cohen jacket. I loved this jacket until he walked out on the street with it a couple weeks ago. But at any rate, trying to take it back. Thank you very much. Just so you all know that Paula is a new entree onto our panel. And I would say it is now a new and improved panel.
Well, thank you.
Yes. So Paula and Tom, why don't you both introduce yourselves before we get started?
I'm Paula Fedoris, and I work at Universal McCann, and I head up analytics, research, and some decision sciences functions at the organization.
I'm Tom Kelshaw. I work at Wavemaker, a Group M agency. I'm the Director of Strategy Platforms and Technology, which is a long way of saying all of the platforms we use for strategy rather than the buy side, the programmatic stuff. I don't deal in any of that. I deal in how we help planners plan and strategize around media and marketing.
We also, all three of us happen to be, I would say, very early beta testers, if not full testers now, of a product called Lucy, which is from a company called Equals3, and it sits on top of IBM Watson. And all three of us are using it very, very differently. And so this is not necessarily a pitch for Lucy, but maybe if you could really briefly just tell us how you've used it in a secret sauce sort of way, and what have you been testing?
Right now at Universal McCann, we actually have 2 use cases for one particular client, but we're anticipating that there's going to be a lot more experiments by the end of the year and into 2019 because we've had some early success. One use case we call Market Plan, and in that use case, we are basically identifying our client's business where they're lagging behind the competition versus when they're winning that particular marketplace. So it's really a market share play, but when you are trying to make decisions across 42,000 zip codes and trying to figure out how you're going to allocate your media investment across these micro markets, you need something like Lucy in order to scale this kind of decision making and have the dashboards that help us make these decisions and look at performance. The second use case is one that we call audience insights, basically mining social information, finding a nugget of heretofore unseen information that we leveraged in not only in a targeting way, but then in customizing the communications towards that target, which we were calling the modern mavericks, getting some information that we did, testing versus our typical go-to-market in order to find the lift of performance. So very encouraged by these 2 use cases.
Tom?
Yeah, we had a different experience. For our use case, the audience insights capability sitting on top of Watson's natural language understanding wasn't really kind of a step in front enough for us to move off like our pure play platforms. We actually found the best use case that changed kind of the most out of Lucy was essentially augmenting the work that hundreds of our staff do every day, which is combining different data sets together, like 20 third-party data sets and some first-party stuff, just a glorified search engine. Just searching for, hey, what do males 18 to 34 watch most on mobile on a Sunday? Oh, cool, yeah, Comscore has that information, and maybe Nielsen has that information. Just being able to ask it like a human does, rather than log into 3 platforms and combine that, that's definitely of interest and very valuable. Another one is kind of really geeky. It's in process automation. There's a lot of work that media agencies get paid to do that's soul-crushing, formulaic, very process-driven work, and that's fine. Having a robot do it is a lot better. So competitive reporting, marketing reporting, mid-campaign reporting, that can be automated and done, overnight by a machine is a very interesting use case for us.
I would echo that in terms of our early experience as well, is that when you're working with a complex organization that has subscriptions to third-party data sets or research, both structured and unstructured data, by the way. I love the unstructured stuff, right? So PDF files, Word documents, PowerPoints. I mean, how many marketing departments have the exact same PowerPoint or iterations thereof, often hired by different agencies, you know? And it's, you know, AI from that standpoint, or really machine learning, I guess, is to centralize all that information so that you're not being duplicitous in your work. And one of the things that I would love to just hear from you is, you know, the value of AI. Is it in, a lot of people think that it's going to replace people's jobs, and so it's a headcount thing. And I personally have seen it that it's really doing the work that nobody wants to do or has the time to do. From an ROI standpoint, I'm curious sort of how the humans interact with this and allow the sky is falling stories about, well, we're not going to have creatives anymore because AI is going to do all of our creative. I don't think so, but.
Yeah, no, it's simply not going to happen that way. We need to look at AI as an augmentation layer to the work we either cannot do or don't want to do. In automation and robotics, they have a thing called the Ds, dull, dirty, dangerous. So if a job is any of those, chances are a robot should be doing it. And I'd add to that, like, data intensive. Humans shouldn't work with data at the granular level. So if something's dull, dirty, dangerous, or data intensive, let's get AI to do it. That doesn't mean those people can stop working. All of the human intelligence, emotion, and insight on top of that dull, dirty, dangerous, or data-intensive work still gets done by humans. But better them doing that than copying and pasting data out of Excel.
I'm in 100% agree. I violently agree with that statement. For us, I think that since we're adding layers and layers of complexity with all this granular information, that with personalization, the people need to spend time really thinking through what is the structure, what is the go-to-market, who are the people that we're targeting. So I just see the tools. I don't see this replacing people at all. It gives us the tools to harness all of that information at a much more granular level so that we're really teasing out newer insights that we didn't see before. So if anything, that teams will continue to grow. You know, I'm hoping that the distillation of some of those insights get better because I'm just not seeing the advancements in some of the outputs. Data visualization and other ways in which we're interpreting this information, because the other caution that I'd like to say, you know, kind of throw out there is sometimes I think we're making real-time decisions too quickly before it really plays out and we get the right outcome, right? And so how much incremental benefit are you getting from this because you're actually being too reactive with your go-to-market?
So it seems to me that you're saying that we can use this technology to make us faster, and we're 3 agency people, right? And so then at the same time, we're asking our clients to be patient. And that's almost sort of a, are they opposing forces?
Yeah, I don't know. Is real time just the worst type of short-termism? You know, like you haven't given anything the ability to stew for information, for intelligent kind of discussion to occur? I'm not sure. There are certain things you don't want to be patient about. I want reporting to the second. I might not want to act on it then, but I certainly want it as up-to-date as possible. And, you know, if I need to know a combination of data points and have that acted on, I don't need to wait for that. I mean, it's, you know, there's stuff that we want done immediately so we can take time to do the more important, insightful, and creative work.
Can you give us an example, either one of you, both of you, how some of your tests in AI came up with an insight or a data point that led you in a direction, a new direction, that the humans just wouldn't have done? You mentioned something, and I'm not sure how much you can talk about it, but you know, you did a campaign recently where some Twitter work or whatever led you into a direction that you never would have discovered it. Yeah,
basically the insight that we found was, you know, for this target audience called the Modern Mavericks, approximately, depending on the slicing, 50 to 60% of our Modern Mavericks are into comedy. Everybody needs their fix of comedy every single day. And we wouldn't have known that that could have been a point where we could have connected and become relevant as a brand to that particular target audience. So we use that and we mine through all their conversations. And I think that there's other tools that could have done that as well. But we were fortunate to be partnering, with the Lucy platform. But we also did cross-validation of it. So what I like to do now is making sure that we get the same answers from multiple sources so that we have multiple sources to cross-validate the truth that we uncover.
You're the Ronald Reagan of marketing media. You're trust but verify. Right. Yeah.
Yes,
Okay.
exactly.
I just aged myself there. Ronald Reagan was a former president of the United States of America.
I was around.
A movie guy, right?
Movie guy, yeah. There you
yeah,
go. Now I
another
got you.
movie guy,
Yeah. How about you? Do you have an example like that?
We actually, whilst we're a media agency, I think some of the coolest stuff we've done is in the creative realm. For some of our clients that don't have creative agencies of record, we can step in and do that work. For a small beauty brand called Clarins, we developed a campaign a couple of years ago called Worth the Wrinkle. It was about visual analysis of Facebook photos amongst our millennial female audience. So rather than using text, we would pick photos for them using machine intelligence, some IBM Watson, some stuff we rolled our own, and it would suggest photos from their entire Facebook kind of photo stream that they authorized for us about triumphant moments that were worth the wrinkle. Childbirth, running a marathon, sitting out in the sun drinking cocktails with your girlfriends, all these things that are going to put, maybe some fine lines and wrinkles into you, but we thought were worth it. And it was a learning system, so every time we suggested something and the audience said, yeah, I want to choose that one and make this television commercial out of it, which we put into Sephora, et cetera, we learned a little more around what those things that were worth the wrinkle were. And we were able to give those insights back in a beautiful video 3-minute montage to the client. And it turns out everyone likes holidays in the sun, not great for your skin, but very worth the wrinkle, and marathon running. We started, as soon as we could detect that you were running in like a 5K or any type of road race, everyone was like, yeah, that was a triumphant moment for me. Also standing on top of a mountain with a sunrise or sunset. Everyone has those photos. They're almost cliche. But our system learned. You could throw a photo at it. It's like, that's 82% triumphant. So yeah, it was cool.
I think you guys, I'm sure, have probably done this as well, but using AI to test email subject lines, have it write a tweet for you, or do some sort of other maybe shorter form. We're not yet to paragraph. I mean, we could, but I think our copywriters would kill us. But to do some A/B testing against sort of a machine-generated headline specific to a segment. We run into that all the time, and you and I talked last night about this. Is like, who's going to pay for this, right? So if I want to do dynamic creative against 100 different audience segments, wouldn't I prefer to perhaps have a machine at least give us a head start to say, well, here would be the 100 headlines using the language of those segments, using the keywords of those segments, perhaps, and then use your copywriters to sort of massage from there? I mean, is that what we're getting?
That's the important part. There are myriad examples where the very best machine learning kind of machine-generated language and imagery is comically wrong. Like, it's just hilarious. You only need 5 out of 100 to be, word salad, and it throws everything out. So you do still need that human oversight on any creative that's generated by a computer. It doesn't know when it's being hilarious.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's too much of a risk to put the brands that we represent in front of that. So what we would prefer to do, and which is what we did, is we just identified the words that resonate with that target audience, and then we briefed the creatives and allowed them to come up with all the options, and that just gave us a great, rich platform of the variations, and then put that into market.
But so you're saying you did use some AI to generate those?
words.
The words, yes.
Correct.
Okay.
And that each one of these personas actually generated a completely different set of words. So if we were
Yeah.
going after the comedy maverick, set of words. If we were going after the athletic maverick, or the maverick that was interested in celebrities, definitely each of the groups had a different vernacular. And our job is to try to figure out, we only tested the comedy maverick because they were such a large portion of our target audience, but the desire is to evolve it and go to all the personas.
So one of the issues that I think all of us are struggling with is, what is the difference between artificial intelligence / augmented intelligence and just really good software? That's sort of what you were mentioning last night when we were talking about it is, we have a lot of smart software around. What makes something intelligent versus just really good software?
Yeah, it's probably a bit late in the day to sit up here for doing definitions, but really quickly, one we like to do is it's probably not AI, full stop. But if it is human-like and superhuman-like, it might be getting there. So if you're looking at AI, you want it to sense like a human, think like a human, learn like a human, and communicate back to you like a human, but do that at superhuman speed and scale. Most things that say they're AI don't do a lot of that. AI is great for click-through rates. If you write for MediaPost and you put AI in a subject line, people will click on it. If you put moderately advanced computer program in a subject line, they probably won't. I mean, I'm a marketer.
Yeah.
I know how to market. Use words like AI or blockchain or whatever, and it works.
Right. You should all go to MediaPost blockchain event tomorrow. Correct? Hey, thanks.
Yeah, in terms of the marketing application of AI, definitely in its infancy, but I think it's just if we could do automated predictive analytics at scale, that's where I think the opportunity is for us, because we're always trying to predict either what to show you, how to interact, so and who to go after. So if we can just continue to utilize these platforms to help us automate that, that part of our job, I think that would be a good continued use case.
At least in media, we've been using AI
Programmatic.
forever. I mean,
Right.
Google, Amazon, Yahoo search is machine learning driven since the late 90s. And in ad tech, billions of data points can't be wrangled and that many cookies can't be hustled without machine learning. We've been using it, it's just never been sexy because it's all been under the covers and the outcomes been roughly the same. I think it's really in the communication of the decisioning and the unsupervised learning that AI starts to become worthy of a bit more fanfare. When it starts to visibly or ostensibly act differently, that's when I think it starts to get interesting.
And I think at the end of the day, what we're looking for is something to make our lives better. Alexa can be, we haven't talked about chatbots. I've been to myriad AI conferences that seem to be all about chatbots more than AI. I guess that's the node, if you will. I'm not as smart as Dr. Ram, but I love listening to him. He makes me feel like an idiot. But, it's a node, right? It's the communication node. I mean it. It's just the end piece or the input device and then the outside of it. And I'm just curious if it's is it one of the first quote unquote killer apps, to age myself, right, of AI are these modules that we're putting into our home that feels like another person, right? Your kid is asking it to turn off the lights or something like this. It's human-like. Yep. If I plunked $50 million down on each of your laps and said, go revolutionize the media industry using AI, how would you spend that money other than a boat and then a plane, fractional ownership? What would you do? What's the thing that nobody wants to do that would make both you, your agency profitable, and your clients extraordinarily happy? Not to put you on the spot or anything.
Wow, we wish we had that one as as the teaser of conversation
I
yesterday,
got asked what I
right?
want to do with $50,000, Andrew, not $50 million. So I can give you an answer for $50,000 and we can split the difference.
Okay.
Yeah? Look, Paula's from analytics and research. It's all about wrangling data to find good information out of it. Either data we have syndicated first, second, or third party, or data that's generated out of campaigns we run for clients. Managing that data end to end is a job for a machine. Humans can oversee those machines or quarterback them is the term that gets used in America and nowhere else in the world. So human quarterbacks for robots, and those robots gathering data, bringing it all into one spot and being accessible to ask questions of. We're still using 23-year-old media planners to do that, and we need to stop. And I think that could be done for a lot less than $50 million.
Yeah, definitely one of the challenges. I mean, you mentioned 20 sources of data. I did an enterprise-wide audit for an organization a couple of years ago, and they had 100 sources of data. And so how do you really synthesize, harmonize, bring all that information together? And so having some of these intelligent ETL tools that are the platforms that allow our analysts and our data scientists to get that job done easily, but still there's just so much dirty data and inconsistent data, so it's that definitely the data challenge associated with a very, very complex media business with multiple channels and fragmentation. So a large chunk of that would just be to solve that and to figure out, is there a way in which we can begin to architect that foundation that makes all of our lives a lot easier, and the data more usable. Because I think we have all the right questions. I remember doing a project one time, and I just wrote the 100 marketing questions that everybody asks over and over and over again.
In one way or another, right?
Exactly.
That's where
so
the
the question is,
semantics-
that would be the intelligent bot that would be the chat bot that I would create, which is the marketing and media, Alexa. That how can you put that on top of your entire data and analytics organizations?
Yeah.
And how do you marshal all of that?
I don't know enough about evolutionary biology, but I assume that we're supposed to be getting more perfect as we go on, right? And that there may be I don't know, maybe we had lots of things attached to us that we didn't need and it got better. So it seems to me what I'm hearing, why do I have an appendix? And it causes so much pain, right? But future humans won't have one. So I'm wondering if, in the case of what you were just saying, it sounds to me like if AI could help get rid of the 90% of worthless information, maybe on client side, right? And then apply the technology on top of the 10% that matters, then we could become sort of super intelligent. Because we have a lot of horsepower going against bad information. Is that right? I mean, when we think about it?
Yeah,
I'm thinking about it from the Lucy standpoint of the arbiter of all of the information, to only get the good stuff coming back.
Yeah, I mean, I like the idea of vestigial information just slowly withering away and falling apart, but I trust nature to decide what's necessary over IBM Watson currently. Yeah. Not that it won't get there, but you got to be careful who you make the arbiter of every piece of information for your agency, your business, or your clients. You got to know how that sausage is made. Mm-hmm. And this is hard because, let's be real here, advertising agencies, marketing, media agencies, we can't afford the very best PhDs in machine learning. Google, Microsoft, and Amazon can hardly afford them. So you need someone to translate the science. That's why it's really important when we get sold AI secret sauce stuff. It's like, okay, I'm no scientist, but show me a white paper, show me the science that underwrites what you're trying to sell me, and I'll run that through some people that are smarter than me. Because if you're going to make someone the arbiter of action and decisioning around information, you have to know what it's based on. This black box stuff is very dangerous. It's like trusting, something, it can be very risky, and I think we've seen that play out in the ad tech ecosystem over the past 5 to 10 years. You have to know how those sausages are made.
The black box of ad tech was, in fact, fraud.
There was a bit of that in there. Yeah.
I mean, and they've weeded itself out now. I mean, largely speaking.
But I think you would have known that if it wasn't, like, that was an outcome of not being able to look under the hood and see these arguably not very complex algorithms. AI can be more complex, but at the end of the day, it's lines of code, it's neural nets that act on each other, and all you need to do is open that up. Now, the good thing about AI is just traditionally, almost kind of due to the academic nature of it, it is more open. You know, Microsoft Research, Facebook, Google, they release almost boastfully the advances. IBM, Watson Research as well. So if you are interested, you can read how that sausage is being made. And if ad tech vendors and AI vendors for marketing build on top of, say, TensorFlow for Google or whatever Facebook is doing, or IBM Watson, at least you can understand and explain to clients how it works. And that's critical. I'm not going to take something to a client if I don't understand how it works anymore. Too many burns in the past on that.
Do you want to go to some questions?
We can go to questions, if there are any, for this August group right here. Another one.
Hey, Rob from MoMA. Question about dynamic creative optimization. That was something that was talked about a lot last year, but I'm not hearing a lot about this year. Just wondering what you guys think of that as secret sauce kind of marketing kind of play.
It's real. I mean,
baby AI.
we're activating it, and it's not that necessarily table stakes, but particularly if we have so many different target audiences and so many different products, it's definitely one of matching, the right product with the right target audience. So we're doing it in large scale and with suites of solutions. So
it's also been proven. It's been around for 15 to 20 years. I think the US is the slowest market due to scale, due to some other things, to really embrace it. The rest of the world's been using that for up to 20 years in one way, shape, or another. So it's the decisioning that goes into those trees on what to create and what to serve where. Sure, you can use machine learning for that to improve, but it's very reverse engineerable. It's a very simple decisioning tree, and so not that scary.
And I think it is a job that a production artist isn't necessarily interested in making a lot of those new banners, right? So a great job for a machine. Can't keep them around. They'll never become creative director doing that.
I did it through high school. It's an awful job.
Is that it? Oh, one more here? Yeah. Tell us who you are, where you work, please.
Nisha Kumar. I'm work at Dialogue Tech. You kind of answered this question through the last half hour, but as you're evaluating vendors to bring on to amplify your AI strategy or amplify your solutions for your clients, what would be the top 3 questions or criteria you're assessing those vendors on before you make a decision?
For us, I would say show us real world work. Show us how it's been used and implemented and what the ROI was. And I just read a crazy article this morning from one of MediaPost's competitors that's a local one that starts with a D. And they were saying that a lot of brands are getting rid of their DMPs. And my head exploded. I'm like, right when we need to get our heads around data, people are saying that we're no longer going to have a DMP or a place to put our own first-party data. And it seemed to me really sort of like, wow, we're casting out the baby with the bathwater on that. And so when it comes to AI, I don't want it to go down the same path that sort of data management platforms did, where it was brought in, it was very expensive, it wasn't properly onboarded. I also want to know how much training does the platform need to be useful. In the case of Lucy, and we do talk about her like it's a her, she and her, and like she will do this for us. She enters the organization not very intelligent. You have to teach her to be smart. And a lot of organizations don't take the time to train their AI platform how to be smart. And so I'd want to know how long that lag is going to be between sort of being dumb and expensive and being intelligent with a high ROI.
Yeah, we have a pretty rigorous process because we do send out RFIs, RFPs for the partners and have a rather exhaustive questioning and vetting process that usually takes, just as long as selecting any other partner, right? It could span, we're in the midst of one right now that's taking us about 3 months in order to find a particular partner. Most of the time it takes between around 60 days, but there's not 3 questions. There's typically 20 questions and then examples and really having the transparency of use cases, even giving us the opportunity to call current customers that are using the tool. So it's very similar to, lots of processes that we, take in order to find the right partner. And then sometimes we choose 2 and go ahead and do the pilot. We've done real-time TV advertising, one of the platforms that does that. And sure enough, we did a 90-day pilot with them, and after the 90-day pilot, that was very reasonably priced. We had 3 bids, but we took one to the pilot and had such a great experience that then we were rolling it out not only to that partner, but even another. So I would really recommend the live in-market test, that you go ahead and make that 30, 60, 90-day commitment to use the tool and pay for it.
Yeah, on the vetting thing, two sides. One is give people assessing the technology access to product and engineering people. You never know who's on the other side of that RFP. It might be written by someone that you wouldn't expect to be working at a media agency. You can ask very hard questions and be very influential. But the others, we like to look at platforms as 3 U's. Like, will they be useful, usable, and used? Works backwards from there. Usability, let's give a shout out to that because it's pretty key. We have a lot of people that work for us that have grown up in the Facebook and Google era, and if something is hard to use, they probably won't use it and it's going to fail. So I like to assess things on their usability. Sometimes the 3rd best product that's the most usable is going to win because it will be more used and we're going to get more utility out of it. So getting killer like UX as a focus of your product is pretty important and maybe undersatisfied in B2B tech.
I would echo that, by the way. I think if you look at the shootout that happened between Google Analytics and Omniture, GA had a simpler to use interface and Omniture was sort of bloatware, but it was better, arguably.
Yeah,
also more expensive.
Pay for it.
Sure. Right, yeah. But once again, I think UX almost free won, but UX helped as well in that case. So.
All right, I think we're out of time. Andrew, Paula, Tom, thank you guys very much. It's a great way to wrap up today.